Hey, baby, I hear those blues a-calling. It's time for the Frasier on Frasier podcast. Hello. It's me, your host, Adam Frasier. With us is Wes Corwin.
It's
and back.
hello, me. Wes.
Yes. Stop. Okay.
Go on.
And back by no demand whatsoever.
Whoa.
Rude.
It was by
Go
your demand.
Yeah.
I just mean that the episode you were in just went up at the time of recording this.
Oh, okay.
And there hasn't been a big reaction to it.
Well,
Okay.
how is that my fault?
Oh, I didn't say it was your fault.
Okay.
All right.
Lana night, everybody.
And we'll put in.
We're talking about tonight. We're talking about Frasier, season 2, episode 7, The Candidate.
The Candidate.
And to start us off, I want to just sort of briefly talk about the episode, what it's really just sort of explain what it's about. So the episode, it's Frasier and Niles are kind of horrified when their father, Martin, endorses a right-wing political candidate for political office.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide to throw their support behind his opponent, who Frasier finds out is actually, he believes that he was abducted by aliens.
Right.
So then Frasier's put in the awkward position of having to endorse this man while keeping this a secret. He ends up spilling the beans anyway, and of course, his candidate loses the election. Right. That's the episode in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll learn more about the characters and kind of what specific actions they take. So, but whoever wants to start us off, I'm more than happy to give the floor to.
I would like to start by saying this was the first time I watched Frasier on my TV. And the show is so old, the Hulu app was really confused. I had to change the settings on my TV to where it could fit. It was awful. So
you're blaming that on the show?
Yeah, I'm blaming it on the show being super old and then Frasier not being popular enough for an HD remaster.
I feel like you're not being fair.
No, it's fine. It wasn't that bad. It was fine. It was fucking old. My TV did black out for 10 seconds while I was trying to figure out the auto settings to display it. So that was just something I wrote down.
I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
Thank you. Yeah. Do you wanna set up the scene? Because I don't have anything until kind of the end of the commercial.
Oh God. So
you want me to tag in, Adam? Do you want me to
you tag in, Wes?
Okay. So Martin is sitting down, and Niles and Frasier roll in, or they're sitting, and it's obvious Martin is leading them because he's saying things like "Quiet, it's about to start," and
they're sitting down, they're watching the
television,
right?
And the announcer says it's a paid political announcement for Holden Thorpe, and Niles and Frasier are both a little indignant that Martin made them sit down to watch a Holden Thorpe ad. Niles just says is a little infuriated at the you're making us sit down to watch this. Frasier is a little bit more verbal about his he claims he's Himmler without the whimsy, referring to Himmler.
Are you not allowed to say Hitler?
I mean, you could. I feel like Frasier is the kind of guy that would be I'll go with the more underground of the Third Reich instead of Hitler. I'll go with one of the lesser known. I'll go with Heinrich Himmler, the Reichsführer of the Schutzstaffel.
It's called highbrow comedy.
Yeah. Anyway,
It-
we cut to the TV, and apparently Holden Thorpe is doing this promotion, or the like part of his ad thing is he's having real genuine Americans speak up on his behalf, and all of a sudden you see Martin on TV, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Barney Crane," and Frasier is horrified, and Martin as a cop is like, "For 30 years I was a cop walking the beat in Seattle. Then my hip got hit by an assassin's bullet," which I don't think that's like he was shot by a criminal like trying to stop a crime, but it was like Martin wasn't working like protection at a political rally, was
No,
he?
he saved the president. He was
Oh, Martin
he's
was the president?
no Martin saved the president. He was a national hero.
Is that what happened?
No.
No, I didn't think so. So Martin deliberately uses the word assassin to make it serious, and instead he's talking about how there are all these assassins on the street.
He walked into.
It's like if
I
there
think
were
if
Seattle
we're talking,
in the 90s. Adam, please. Seattle in the 90s was like if there was an MMO based on Hitman, just assassins everywhere. And Martin's sick of it, and it's these liberals. It's these goddamn liberals. And Martin is asking that you vote for Holden Thorpe. In the 90s, he adopted Holden, and now he's Holden Crane. Is the point of the political act. But
I really want Martin to star in a remake of Death Wish.
Right, that would be very fun. But so
for a second, I thought you meant Death Note.
I would also watch.
I would also love to see a Death Note Frasier crossover.
Right.
Like if Niles found the Death Note, that would be. Think of all the hijinks that could ensue. Think of all the wacky shenanigans that could lead to.
I'm thinking of them right now, which is great. So Frasier is like, "How did this happen?" And Martin explains. They were having a rally for Thorpe. He started to talk to one of the people, told him he was an ex-cop, and Holden was like, "Oh, you got to be in one of my ads," and they were shoving a camera in his face so he'd be talking about how much he loves Holden Thorpe. Lana, you had something?
Yes, I do want to jump in here. I will say you missed a key joke in the commercial. It ended with, "He's running because I can't," and that was the first time that Frasier actually truly, like, I had a good, hearty laugh at that.
Oh,
you laugh at people who can't run because they're
Jesus fucking Christ, Adam!
I'm just saying that's what the joke is about.
It's not ableist if they made the joke.
You're laughing.
He made the joke. I'm laughing with him.
But
not
he's a
at
TV
him.
character.
Is he not in a wheelchair?
He's not.
He's got a cane. He's
got a cane. And the man who plays him doesn't use a cane. And I don't think. Well, I actually don't know that, but I'm pretty sure.
No, sorry, not what I meant. Not wheelchair. I meant the whatever walker. Anyway, either way, he can't jog, so it's not like that big of a deal. Old people can't run, and I thought it was a funny wordplay. Fuck you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's like a cute thing you put at the end of a political ad, which is why. Yeah. I got it. So then it turns out. Oh, so Martin is telling Duke that. So I'm sorry. I'm skipping a little too.
Presumably, you mentioned that he pulled Niles and Frasier aside from this, and
he's apparently very proud of getting to be in this ad.
But what were they doing before he interrupted them? Because as soon as they finish watching the commercial, it looks like they start playing a game of chess. Not like they were in the middle of a chess game.
Right.
I think that's just a continuity error, probably.
I mean, I assume that, like, I could be wrong, and I don't know if it's entertaining to talk about this aspect, but I assume, like, Martin was like, "Hey, guys, we all got to be in the same place at 8 because I got a cool thing I want to see on the TV," and they were like, "Okay, fine." I assume they were just hanging out, and now that they've seen the thing, they're going to find something else to do. It feels like, I mean, as we might learn in a future episode that you were telling me about, we're going to learn that the Crane Boys like to play chess, so it doesn't surprise me now that they've seen the thing they were going to see. Okay, well, I guess let's play some chess. I guess otherwise I have to drive home to to Maris. So I
Well,
guess I'll stick here and play chess.
I guess it does fit into the larger continuity of yes, them being chess players. But then again, why wouldn't they be? Because they're snooty rich white men.
Which,
Right,
yeah,
right,
they're
right.
snooty rich white men. So, like, how bad can this candidate be if, like, they're worried about it? You know, like that's fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like
no.
theoretically, no matter how bad it is, they're fine.
Well, because I think yeah, because there's that, and there's also the whole. I feel like there's kind of it's kind of they kind of make fun of it in the episode, but it speaks to an actual character trait of Niles and Frazier. They're kind of hypocrites when it comes to like helping people or like doing so
Yeah,
like they
because later
know
on in the coffee shop, like a kid comes up to them, to,
Right,
like,
yeah,
sell,
yeah.
like buy candy or something, and he just like tells it to fuck off.
right, and they play that as a joke. They play
Right.
that as like, oh, aren't we nice, charitable people? Of course, wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we vote for this person who has the same values as us?
Which
And
side
then-
note, do you think they weren't planning on voting at all until their dad made that ad?
I mean-
Well, white old people tend to vote. So I don't know if they would have had much skin in the game before they found out their dad was all adamant about this other candidate. But statistically, they probably would have voted. Just something obnoxious, like third party, maybe.
There's a joke in I don't know if I think it's a later episode. I don't think we've covered it on the podcast yet, but there is a joke in a later episode where Frasier mentions that he has a bumper sticker that says "I'm pro opera and I vote."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kind of a fun little twist on because you've seen those types of bumper stickers before.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
funding the arts. Yeah.
So yeah, Frasier votes. Niles, I don't know if we can say for certain.
They're both
he probably
affluent
does.
people,
I don't.
which
I
makes, yeah.
Niles,
probably-
I feel like is just doing it out of like performative allyship.
Sure. We're
Maris
we're,
isn't doing it.
we're riding up. Oh, yeah. Maris wouldn't leave the house if she didn't have to. Although, okay.
She
Again,
could do
I feel
mail-in voting.
she could, and I mean, we have gotten into in the past that Maris does seem to like to be on museum boards, so there is some like local politicking she likes to do. She seems to like to play the game. I don't know how often
She's a
participates in it.
socialite.
Yeah, she is. It seems like as we talk more and more about how Niles and Frazier would vote, we're side saddling up to a thing I'm really excited to talk about in reference to this episode, where
Politics.
we cover, yeah. Moreover, specifically the fact that Martin is a conservative, and Frazier and Niles are both like, ugh, it's gross. This conservative guy is a fascist. All this stuff, which
They're
is
centrists.
interesting. Yeah, well, but they seem to be super into this guy, this other candidate, which we'll get into, that talks about environmental policies and all that. Now, okay, before we talk about that, it's important to note that the American left is the world center, and there are actual places in the world where the left has taken root, but instead we live in a country. This podcast comes to you from a country that has two political ideologies. One is dead center, one is to the right, and it's taking a long time for anything to move from there. But the point, whether or not Frazier is on the left, but the thing I'm getting at is that Kelsey Grammer, the actor who plays Frazier, is famously super Republican. And it is
Right.
interesting that he is
Which
portraying
we've-
a character, and it sort of contributes to a conversation that I was having, I think, with both Adam and our guest Lana off the podcast, where I believe it's a piece of evidence that contributes to the argument that Kelsey Grammer is intentionally playing Frazier like a buffoon, because he's playing somebody with presumably the exact opposite politics of Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
Who probably believes all the things Martin said, that we should have more arms in the streets, and that the cops should have more, all these things. I think Kelsey Grammer believes 100% of these things, which is why it's funny that Frazier, the character, thinks all of these things are disgusting. And it's just, especially considering how many, like, early Cheers, Frazier was constantly the buffoon that was being ridiculed by these blue-collar people around him. I feel like this all contributes to the argument that Frazier is... I feel like the character, much like... I think it's an interesting parallel. The same way, like, All in the Family, Archie Bunker was supposed to be a cautionary tale, and instead made a lot of people Republican. I wonder how many people were watching Frasier and going like, this guy's delightful and highbrow. But Kelsey Grammer's point was like, this guy's a fucking idiot. We shouldn't be what he's like. And it's just an interesting thing about comedy and politics is that I don't know. It's the old Pose dilemma. I don't think you can make a point that's satirical well enough that people don't jump on board with it.
Well, so my thing is, I'm worried about the people that do think like Kelsey Grammer. So, and that goes back to my thing with like Friends, how they made like the doctor guy on Friends super dumb and like a buffoon. It's like there was like an article I read that it was like the death of like intellectualism in America when we started like making all these like characters who were like intellectually smart and like technically the main character, but they were also like assholes and no one wanted to be friends with them. So it's like, hey, don't be this guy or else you'll be a fucking loser.
Right.
And so that's why it like this episode was like super shitty because it was like I wanted to root for Frazier because it's like he's supporting technically the right candidate, but like the entire time they set it up and like fuck it up so bad that like it just like Frazier ends up ruining the candidate's chance.
Right.
And they don't and they kind of shrug that off too. Like the candidate, what's his name? Wes, can you help me out with that?
The other it was something like
it's Holden Thorpe, Phil Patterson. Phil Patterson
I wrote
is
down it was fake Beto O'Rourke. Great.
I had down. He kind of but straight.
Kind of looks like he kind of looks like Beto.
Great value when you order Beto O'Rourke off Wish.
Yeah, but
he's diet. He's Beto O'Rourke 0. Same taste, 0 calories.
So he agrees to he endorses Phil Patterson.
Right.
God, and so is the whole thing with him being
Oh, hang on, we skipped over something. There was this whole bit where he's like ordering coffee, and then he just shits on a bunch of countries, like Ecuador, like Colombia.
Well, see, I don't think that's him.
I think that's Kelsey Grammer shitting on countries.
No, I think that's Kelsey Grammer shitting on. Well, it's hard to say he's shitting on millennials when the show came out in 1994.
Yeah, no, it's like that's why the like context. It's like he's directly shitting on this like idea of a third world country.
Well,
I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
it's not the idea of a third world country. It's the idea of people who won't support something because of something that someone did, like holding people in places accountable.
And I think it ties into the idea we've discussed, which is that Frazier and Niles probably didn't care much about this election until they found out that Martin, because all of a sudden Frazier, who goes to these coffee places, and I'm sure he's ordered Ecuadorian or all these blends, all of a sudden he's got second thoughts about which coffee he's endorsing, which is funny because I believe, specifically if you're doing the Salvador, I think specifically Salvador, that's one of the countries that America, of course, invaded and cooed. So that's just it's just another.
Sorry, I feel like I'm not doing a good job of showing where I'm like thinking of like Frasier as like the character and Frasier as like the writers, because the show's name is Frasier. But like so, Frasier the character, it's like frustrating because it's like it's this very like it's trying to make fun of liberals, is like doing this like performative allyship and like exactly what you said, where they're not like supporting the country where something's from, but then like in the dialogue itself, the connotation of it just felt very like douchey Republican, like third world country Trump shit. So like that was and it's like, and also cause it's like the idea that like they would do that. It's like, oh, like coffee is like how they would try to show their patriotism and like shit. It's just, I don't know. It's fucking, it sucks. I don't know. Okay.
So we're all in agreement that the scene where Frasier decides where to get his coffee from because based on what bad things the countries are up to is a shit scene.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah.
And also when he's like saying that he can't endorse a candidate, like that's never been a problem for Dr. Phil.
Don't compare Frasier to Dr. Phil.
Why not? They're exactly the same. It's the same thing. If anything,
No,
Dr. Phil is just based on Frasier.
I feel like Frasier has more integrity.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I know I'm not.
Okay.
That's why I said it.
But like just a smidge more only because like he's not yelling at teenagers on camera. But
Right.
he's still like being shitty to people on his radio show, which is like he's just not giving them a platform to make them look even stupider. He's just like being a sarcastic asshole. Whereas like Dr. Phil is out here fucking just chaotic shit.
Well, so let's get back to the episode. They Frasier. The reason why Frasier doesn't decide right there then and there in Cafe Nervosa. So there's a bit where Niles invites Frasier to coffee. This is immediately after they see a bunch of commercials of their dad endorsing Phil, not Phil Patterson, the other guy, Holden Thorpe. Niles tells Frasier that he should do a commercial for Phil Patterson. Frasier initially turns him down, but Niles says that they should do it because he brings up that quote.
Which quote?
There was a quote where it's like the only thing for evil men to succeed is for good men to do nothing.
Right. And they quote Edmund Burke, and there's a fun little, as Niles and Frasier often do, there's a fun ironic thing where Niles is like, I have that quotation in a frame. I keep meaning to put it, but I never seem to get around to it, which is funny.
I like
because
that.
The quote is about.
I like that joke.
It's fun.
Yeah. But later on, we see Frasier in his office, in his booth. I think this is the first time, Lana, that you've seen an episode with Bulldog in it, and this Bulldog Briscoe is in this episode.
Yeah, that was weird, and he definitely looks like someone that would fuck Hulk Hogan's wife, so that's all. Yeah, that's
what?
About it. Bubba the Love Sponge. It's a Bubba the Love Sponge joke.
Bubba
the Love
Sponge. He was the dude that cucked Hulk Hogan, and then he like recorded himself having Hulk Hogan having sex with his wife, and then like Hulk Hogan, after having sex with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, then went on a racist rant about his daughter's black boyfriend, which then got the sex tape got put on Vivid, and then like the racist rant was then put on TMZ or not Vivid. It was released by it was put on Gawker, and then like Vivid owns the rights, I think, to the distribution or something. Either way, that's how Gawker got shut down, is because Bubba the Love Sponge and his wife unicorn hunted Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Well, I did not know about any of that.
Yeah.
He was a shock jock in Florida.
I don't really.
He reminded me of Bulldog. That was.
It
is same energy.
It is the oddest thing, and it is so. Real quick, there is an important part of radio history which sort of overlaps with comedy history, where for some reason the airwaves were full of shock jocks. Bubba the Love Sponge, or like Don Imus, and these people, like before quote unquote cancel culture, whether you think it's real or not, all these people kind of washed themselves out before there was even like because they would say dumb shit to get attention, and then people would get angry and they would lose their jobs. Bubba the Love Sponge got thrown off of TNA Impact Wrestling, where that was like his highest platform, was he was an announcer there, and then he said he was tired of like how many people were talking about the relief efforts in Haiti, and he said fuck Haiti, and people were like, well, now you lose your job. Or like Don Imus was like a famous sports talk guy.
Oh, I forgot about Yeah, and that's how the sex tape thing happened, because it was like a revenge thing against Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I
Forgot
don't.
about
I
the
don't
wrestling
follow.
part of it.
I don't follow. I don't follow Hulk Hogan's sexcapades as much as.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
because you're not a true wrestling fan, Adam.
It's
I'm
true.
not. I think I'm proud to
Midwest
say
Day
that.
One OGs.
Day
WWF for
one.
life.
Four abs. But yeah, no. Bulldog, to Lana's point, absolutely is a shock jock, and
Right.
to our possible younger viewers, I guess the closest. I don't know if shock jocks are as big of a thing in
Oh
today's
my god!
culture.
I hope
He's
Howard
you're
Stern
younger
still around,
viewers.
isn't he?
Younger viewers don't watch Frasier. What are you doing? Go have
Whoever's
fun.
if
Go have
if you don't
fun.
know, if you don't know what a shock jock is, it's like a YouTube edgelord. It's one of those people that posts about like Cartoon Network shows, and they
You just
record
got
hour-long rants
pranked.
on their YouTube channel, and for some reason you favorite and like their video. That's what Bulldog is. Okay,
He's like a
just-
Keemstar.
now that we've covered the culture gap to our possibly younger viewers, let's get it
This
back.
is for Gen Z.
If
I'm
you're-
basically Gen Z. I'm just on like the older half, so I get to bridge that gap for y'all.
Yeah, like an elder. Yeah, no, like the same way they're elder.
That's why.
millennials,
That's why we
they're
brought
elder
you
Gen
on.
Zers.
The test group told us we needed to bring someone. We needed to bring someone to bridge that Gen Z gap.
Yeah,
Right.
the diversity hire.
And then next week, to get into that Gen Alpha market that's growing, we're gonna have a baby on the podcast.
Wes, are you eating Tums right now?
No, I'm just playing with the plastic wrap. I'm
Oh.
playing with they have that. It has that metal cover, but there's enough of it you can
Okay.
like.
I thought we
Oh,
were giving you heartburn.
I thought you were just. Yeah, I
that
thought you were
too.
just doing that thing where you stress eat Tums.
Yeah, you know. How
That's what
do.
I do with Tums.
I'm definitely the police chief of the podcast, where it's like, oh, I'm so close to retirement, but these kids are giving me.
Just
Giving
when I
me the
thought I was
harder.
out, they put me back in.
They put me back. Well, that's a mob thing, but yeah, no, that's also what police.
There's
chiefs
no difference between the police and a gang.
and the mafia. That's a fair point.
Well, but
So Frazier, who previously,
Oh,
I mean, obviously-
hang on. Fuck
Go ahead.
Bulldog. Can we talk about the fact that, like, fucking Frasier and Bulldog, fucking Daphne's over here, like, yeah, I like this candidate guy. And they're like, oh, you just want to fuck him. So women can't have political opinions without wanting to fuck the candidate? Because I'll suck Bernie Sanders' dick, but that's not why I'm voting for him.
that's first. I believe that's Roz. Not all white women look alike. Some of them look alike, but not all of them look alike. And let's
you
be clear.
racist.
No, so the producer, the radio producer, is Roz. Daphne, who I want to do a quick shout out to Jane Leaves, because Adam and I were talking before the podcast about a clip. She used to be on the Benny Hill show. I am very excited to deep dive into that, but I feel like that'll be more appropriate on an episode where we get to showcase more of Jane Leaves. She's really taken a back seat in this season, but she still gets some lines, and she has a couple good.
We're coming up on a pretty good. We're coming up on
what?
a pretty good. We're coming up on a pretty good Daphne episode. It's we can talk about it a little. It's called Daphne's Room, I think. And it's basically just Frasier gets caught rummaging around Daphne's room and violating her privacy. And that's all I'll say.
Well, that's a note. There are two. I think there's 1 to 2 Daphne jokes, and
Daphne,
she only has one.
technically works for them, right?
Daphne is a physical
She is
therapist
paid.
for
She
Martin,
is paid
so, yeah.
by
Okay.
Frasier.
So not only is Frasier out here violating HIPAA laws, he's out here violating HR policies too.
Right.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ. How has he not been
Well,
disbarred?
Eddie the dog is the head of HR. So
Do you wait? Okay. One of the jokes I liked about Daphne was she was talking. We're about to get there, but she's talking to the candidate Phil Patterson because Frasier has decided to go ahead and back him up. I guess we'll just walk into this so I can get to the Daphne line I want to talk about. So, Frasier, when he's talking to Niles, is like, I don't know if I want to do that, but we find out that Holden Thorpe has apparently bought airtime on his radio show to put some political ads out there, and Frazier cannot help himself. But like right after the ad, he like makes some comment about how bad Holden Thorpe is, and it ties into the conversation that Bulldog is like, "Well, I like Holden Thorpe," and then as Lana pointed out, Roz says the thing where like, "Oh yeah, his reapportionment plan makes sense," and Frazier's like, "He's happily married, Roz," which yeah, no, pretty much whenever Roz pops up, they make a comment about how she's a loose woman, and
Well,
that's
yeah,
just, yeah.
that
But
is
go ahead.
they beat that joke with a dead horse,
Right.
Yeah.
So
not with a
Frazier
stick, with the whole dead horse.
a dead horse. So Frazier continues to make these comments after the ads are on the air, and all of a sudden, like Roz is like, "Hey, we got a caller that disagrees with your political takes," and Frazier's like,
And
"Oh, I welcome other points of view. Who is it?" And it's like, "Oh, we have Holden Thorpe," and they
She
talk.
doesn't tell him. She waits until he's already on the line.
Well, Roz, we've established that Roz is more into the ratings than she is into Frasier.
She's
Like,
an agent
she
of
is-
chaos.
Yeah,
She's
it's
more
not her
into
job to make
creating-
Frasier happy. It's her job to like keep the ratings up so she doesn't get fired because Frasier's an
Yeah.
asshole.
She needs content that's good, and we've established sometimes the things Frasier thinks that are entertaining aren't. So she gets the most excited when like, oh well, this is going to be good radio, whether or not it requires Frasier.
Yeah.
So
Right.
She
I
she
understand
she was social media savvy. She was doing it for the
she was doing it for the hashtags for those analytics.
yeah. Content
And-
is key.
Real
Mm.
quick, we should probably mention that Holden Thorpe is voiced by Sidney Pollack.
Sydney Pollock.
Who's that?
do we
Sidney
know?
Pollack, a famous director. He did
You might know him from Tootsie.
did Tootsie.
Who's that?
There's a "They Might Be Giants" song where they reference Tootsie.
Mhm.
Like TOOT.
It's the one with Dustin Hoffman. He's in a dress.
He's a drag performer.
No, he's not.
He's not?
No, he's a man pretending to be a woman who's an actress.
Oh, I thought I've never seen Tootsie.
Oh,
I
it's
thought
great.
it was about
I've never seen it.
It's
Dustin
great.
Hoffman as a drag.
No, Dustin
Apparently it's a
Hoffman.
musical.
He can't find work as a male actor, so he finds work as a female actor.
So they just did Juwanna Man, but not about basketball.
Pretty much.
That's ridiculous.
It's great. It's got Doc Hopper in it.
That's fun.
The guy who was Santa Claus in Mr. Saint Nick.
Yeah, I don't see him in this cast list. I'm sure you're.
I'm
right,
pretty.
but I don't see-
I'm pretty sure he was in it. He was played. It was him or someone else.
I mean, those are the two possibilities.
No, it was Charles. It was Charles Durning. It was yeah.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm mixing. You're mentioning Doc Hopper from the Muppet movie.
I don't think I've
Right.
seen
You're
any
talking
of this
about-
man's movies.
Well, you should join our film club, Lana. You'll see many different kinds of movies that way.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So anyway, Sidney Pollack, famous director. He's the voice of Holden Thorpe, and he calls in to Frasier's radio show.
And he starts giving him guff the way a lot. There's something about, specifically, especially in the '90s, it felt like conservative people. I'm sure other politicians did the same thing, but instead of debating Frasier on the merit of his argument, he instead starts asking Frasier things like, "Oh, well,
He attacks his character.
Are you married, Frasier? Are you married, Frasier Crane, Mr. Crane?" And Frasier's like, "I'm divorced." And he's like, "And did you ever serve in your country?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, I am not going to listen to the opinions of somebody that isn't married because I'm a married man and I served in the military. And you're not a fucking patriot if you weren't married and didn't fight in Grenada. I went in on the first wave." And Frasier's like on a surfboard. And so Thorpe and Frasier go back and forth for actually a very brief period of time because Frasier's like, "Well, I'm going to talk now," and then Thorpe hangs up, and he spends a while yelling about Holden Thorpe, except he doesn't get to because the show ends.
Right.
But these are all reasons that suddenly make him very interested in recording an ad for Phil Patterson.
Yes.
So that brings us to the next scene where Frasier's actually in his apartment, sitting in his chair. He does one of those turns to the camera. Oh, I didn't see you come in.
I didn't see you there. It's me, Fraser Crate, from the
You
show.
scared the shit out of me.
You've broken into my home, and you've come to kill me. Well, before you do, I'd love to
Let me tell you about my friend Phil Patterson.
Phil Patterson.
So yeah, he's doing his commercial for Phil Patterson. He has a whole spiel that he goes through, and it'll become funnier when we revisit it later on. But for now, he's doing his commercial with Phil Patterson. They're all like, "Oh, this is so great! We're doing a commercial." Daphne, I think were you wanting to talk about this joke, Wes, where Daphne talks about?
I wanted to bring up this joke where Daphne says to Phil, like, she introduces herself to Phil, and she just decides to make conversations. Like, my uncle was a political writer for one of those London tabloids. His biggest scoop that got him the most reads, where the headline was "High-ranking politician caught wearing women's clothing." Of course, you turn to page 2 and you find out it's about Margaret Thatcher, but by then you already bought the paper, which is it's sort of ahead of its time. It's talking about clickbait in news, and I think that's fun. I think that's a good joke. I think Jane Leeves is funny, and I'm excited to talk about her more, because I feel like, based on the conversation, I could talk about her and Benny Hill for like 20 minutes. Very excited to talk about Jane Leeves. But this is like the last line she has in the episode, and it would just come out of nowhere. So let's keep talking about this episode.
So, yeah.
There's a point where Niles calls his employees servants.
Right.
That's a very Niles move.
Well, right, yeah. So he's trying to ingratiate himself onto Phil Patterson, and he mentions the fact that Maris has all of their servants down at his headquarters licking envelopes.
Right.
So yeah, basically they have housekeepers, maids, and chefs and gardeners and such.
The people that garden for a living are licking envelopes. The people that sweep chimneys are licking envelopes. The people that make the bed, or the people that do accounting for Niles and Maris, are currently licking envelopes. All of them. Every single one of them is. They're not putting anything in the envelopes. They're just licking them for Phil Patterson.
It's like that Seinfeld episode. They're all just going to pass out.
Yep.
Just giving you a better picture of Niles and Maris's home life.
She dies, right?
Don't get just hold your horses. Hold your ding dang horses.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't spoil a different sitcom.
Alert. Oh my god, we've got to cut that out of the podcast.
Yeah, edit that out. I'll put a clap in here so you know.
I don't actually know if Maris dies.
Well, you know what? It'll be a secret, and it'll be surprising.
I meant the chick in Seinfeld who was licking the envelopes.
Oh, well, she might have died. I don't know. Yeah, I'm totally down to spoil Seinfeld on this podcast. In the last episode, they all end up in prison. Yeah, whatever happened. Now, go ahead and.
I thought you were going to say it all, and turns out they were all
to your Seinfeld podcast and hit that subscribe button on our podcast. Now that you don't have anything to look forward to on your Seinfeld podcast, I told you the ending. They all end up in prison.
Wes, I thought you were going to go with. It turns out they zoom out at the Seinfeld the apartment, and it's inside of a snow globe.
It's inside of it. No, I could have made a fake one, but I went with the real ending, so people actually unsubscribe from their Seinfeld podcast.
just a really dick move.
But I decided to actually spoil Seinfeld. They all end up in prison.
So, fuck, what were we talking about? With the episode. Okay, so no, the part that I want to get to, the big bombshell of the episode. So Frazier and Phil Patterson, they decide to go out on the balcony together. Frazier's got a very nice balcony overlooking Seattle. And they have a conversation. Phil says to Frazier that there's something that he's been wanting to get off his chest for a while.
Which, by the way, I want to say that I really did like the buildup of the scene. I thought it was going to be a genuine thing. And, like, I was like, yeah, more politicians should see therapists. Like, it would be nice, like, that, like, they're normalizing
So you thought he was
therapy.
going to give him, like, an actual problem.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely...
Like what? Like, what would have been...
Oh, go ahead.
I thought
Well,
maybe
no,
it was like maybe he was like struggling with cheating or like having relationship problems. That seems like a very sitcom thing to do.
Right. And I do have to say, whatever was going on culturally at the time, it might have been the fact that X-Files was the biggest show on TV, but the crowd is dead quiet as the thing is building up. Again, probably because they believe it's very genuine. And when Phil reveals, I've never told... 6 years ago, I was there's a roar of laughter from the studio audience that loves that it's gone in this direction.
Which, I don't know, it's like, I feel like, that's also the thing, is like, Frazier's such a shit therapist. He doesn't, like, try to, like, be like, okay, why do you, like, feel that, or, like, tell me more. Like, he's just like, oh, this dude's fucking crazy, and then just fucking... Like, and then also, like, Phil just walks off, and instead of, like, talking to him more about it, like you should when someone, like, a patient discloses something to you, he just, like, goes and snitches to his brother.
Well,
Right.
they both agree. Well, so Frazier and Niles both agree the man should seek therapy.
Which is a massive HIPAA violation.
It is,
We'll get
into... There's a bit that's very funny, that I think is very funny, where, like, Niles brings up the fact that ethically, of course, Frazier can't say anything that Phil has told him in confidence. Fortunately, as a loophole that he's ready to whip out at any time, and it gets a lot. It's funny that Niles, and it's something that I think the show has brought, is the fact that Niles and Frazier have a very strict ethical code that they also have set up rules for themselves that they can get out of anytime they want to.
Right. No, it's very. We need to do a counter of whenever Frazier and Niles violate the Hippocratic Oath. But I want to talk a little bit about, so the whole Phil Patterson being a politician that believes in aliens or extraterrestrials, that whole thing is a parody of Jimmy Carter, right?
Did Jimmy Carter say he was? What are we parodying?
So if I'm the only person who knows about this, Jimmy Carter claimed, I think this was before he ran for president, but he filed a report stating that he had seen a UFO.
Right.
Like
in
he
1969.
Right. So
in Leary, Georgia.
So, and it was this whole incident that kind of gets it's just kind of a weird fact about Jimmy Carter. I mean, the guy's. I hope he's still alive by the time this podcast airs.
I thought he was already dead.
No,
he's
Jimmy
still
Carter
alive.
Alive, yeah.
Good for him.
Amazingly, yeah. No, he's still building
building houses for people.
Super cool former president we got there.
I mean, all presidents are war criminals. So I mean,
well, it's super cool that he's doing something that's not war criminally.
Reparations.
It's yeah, sure. But anyway, he saw a UFO. I feel like that's what this is a parody of. I feel like that's what this is in reference to. A politician believing they had an experience with a UFO or extraterrestrials.
Did you, before we continue, did you do the research on if that had any effect on his campaign? Was his UFO thing?
I think he tried to distance himself from it once he started running for president. And I think they even did a study on it later on and determined that it was it probably wasn't a UFO. It was a weather balloon. But isn't that what they would say if they were they were covering up for the fact that it was a UFO? Mm-hmm. So you can't really believe it.
Do you think he became president because he wanted to find out if aliens were real? Because didn't a lot of that Roswell stuff start happening while he was president?
A lot of.
Adam, if you haven't done, I do have a line from the Wikipedia article where it says during his 1976 election campaign, it said that he told reporters he would institute a policy of openness toward the documentation on UFOs if he were elected to office, saying, "One thing's for sure, I'll never make fun of people who say they've seen UFOs in the sky. If I become president, I'll make every piece of information this country has about UFO sightings available to the public and the scientists." And then apparently, after he was elected, he distanced himself from disclosure, citing defense implications as being behind his decision. So once again, I don't know.
It's like
no matter
they're
what,
basically saying to us at this point that aliens are real.
I could see it.
I want to back up for a second. Lana, you were saying that Jimmy Carter presidency and Roswell were happening around the same time.
I
just
don't
want to
have a
ask,
great perception of time.
Hold on. No, hold on. I just want to ask you.
Okay.
I just want to ask you. What were the terms? What were Jimmy Carter's? What years was he in office?
Just
off the top of your head.
It was like more like sepia than black and white. Like they didn't have full color yet. It was just like so, and like the outfits were like
a
more
date?
tan.
Like
So
a
I know
year?
it's before. I know it's before JFK.
No. Already no.
Really?
No, Carter was recent. Well, recent in a relative... Like, he was after Nixon, after Ford. He was before Reagan.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it was the
JFK was like-
70s. Yeah, so I was right based on the fashion. Yeah.
No, but
Okay,
when
hold
did
on,
Roswell take place?
Hold on, but when was JFK president?
Like the 80s.
No. The
Yeah,
60s.
Lana!
He was president in the 60s.
But Jackie Kennedy's hair! That was 80s hair!
No, that was 60s. So I just really quick. I feel compelled. So in order, it goes JFK, and then it goes Lyndon Baines. He was assassinated. That led to Lyndon Baines Johnson. It's important to remember that because that's when civil rights.
This
was
is all
happening.
going in.
While LBJ was happening, of course, that's when you see Malcolm X was assassinated. That's when you see Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. That was during LBJ. Eventually, Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, I know that's all in the like post JFK
Okay.
thing. I just thought that was post Jimmy. I thought that was like post Jimmy Carter. I thought Jimmy Carter was older because of the whole peanut farm thing.
Welcome to our new podcast where we teach history.
Right,
Lana.
and then Vietnam War is the reason that people turned against LBJ. They were really not
Wait,
about
I
it.
thought Kennedy was in the Vietnam War.
No, he died in '63. He could have been at the very beginning. The
Yeah, I
Vietnam
thought
War,
he
did that
started
start
the
in
Vietnam
62?
War.
Well, yeah, can see. Well, okay, so technically, the
Because
Vietnam
like
War
all
started
of the
in
shit was like
55.
kicking off, right? So it's
During-
like the Vietnam War, civil rights, flower power, drugs and shit. But like that's why I assumed Jimmy Carter was before that because Jimmy Carter's all man, law and order, no man. But
So
that makes sense that he's post Reagan though, because like Reagan like fucking ruined all that.
So, okay. So the Vietnam War started in 55. That was Eisenhower. And then participation in the Vietnam War really ramped up when JFK became president because he was determined on displaying strength to the Soviets. That's the whole Cuban Missile Crisis thing. Subsequently, he was assassinated. And then that led to LBJ, who continued the Vietnam War. So it survived three
Yeah,
presidents.
see, here's the thing. They
Then-
never like LBJ isn't in any of the Call of Duty games.
No, he's not. He's not. in
It
any of
just
the Call
goes
of
like
Duty.
Kennedy to Reagan. So like you don't really get a like.
No.
Hey
there
there,
wasn't.
Billy. What was your favorite episode of the Frasier on Frasier podcast?
I really like the
My
one where they
favorite
talk
episode
about.
was
I-
the one where they talk about history for a long time.
So
I
anyway.
just so in my head it's like Jimmy Carter, JFK, Reagan,
No,
um,
absolutely not.
Bush Senior.
Okay, you're right. And then
And what was his name?
You need to watch
Killed-
some Animaniacs, Lana.
Huh?
he killed.
You need to watch some Animaniacs, Lana.
No, I don't watch Animaniacs.
That's how any self-respecting person learns how with the order of the presidents.
What did
I feel like we've gotten completely off track.
We have, but it's great.
who was before Bush?
Bush 1 or Bush 2? Clinton. Either. Well, Clinton was
Clinton!
after Bush 1.
Fuck! Yeah! I forgot. Okay.
You forgot the blowjob
No,
guy,
I thought there
Lana.
was someone in between Clinton. So it's like, okay, so it was just Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2. I thought there was another guy in there.
No, it was Bush 1, Clinton, Bush 2, Obama, Trump.
Okay.
And now
There was
Biden.
also Cyber Bush.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wait,
was
did
a
you ever play that, like, anti-George Bush Flash game?
Which one?
Which one?
Fuck, you're right. No, it was called, like, the anti-Bush game. It was, like, a sociology book for a class my mom was taking as a kid, and so I, like, stumbled upon it way too young, but it, like, was, like, this, like, huge, like, fuck you Republican thing. It had, like, a bunch, like, it was making fun of MTV and, like, Paris Hilton, and, like, you, like, end up in, like, it's very South Park-esque.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on. Bushgame.com. I feel like it was called, like, bushgame.com or something.
You're right, we've gotten off track.
Adam, I told you the longer this takes, the higher I'll get. Oh, it's not Quest for Bush. That was the one that was released by the Taliban. It was like a side-scrolling shooter.
Right.
No, I'm just trying to remember where in the episode we were.
So, do you want me to tag back in? Because
Why do I feel like you played like?
No, I want to
I
get
think
it.
you played as the Foo Fighters.
Oh, that's fun. Adam, did you want me to tag back in? Did you want
No, I want to get it. I want to get it for myself.
Okay.
Because I know you
Well,
just
so-
have it bookmarked. You just got it tucked away somewhere. I'm gonna do it myself.
I feel like there
Okay.
was a year. What year was Bush up for re-election?
I'm full of
2004. Wait, hold on. Again, Bush 1 or Bush 2?
Bush 2.
2004. That's when he ran against John Kerry. And then
Yes, it was called Bush Game, the anti-Bush game.
Yeah.
That was the name of it. It's Bush Game, the anti-Bush game, and then like, oh man, it's crazy that some of these people are still in office.
So Frasier.
You played as Hulk Hogan.
Oh.
Full circle,
So-
baby.
So Phil Patterson discloses to Frasier that he was abducted by aliens. Thus, Frasier has the realization that this Phil Patterson guy that he has just agreed to endorse for political office is a cuckoo nutto.
Right.
Is a cuckoo.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Doesn't try to help him in any way.
Nope. He just goes and sits in front of the best green screen that money can buy at the time.
So he immediately violates his Hippocratic oath and tells Niles what's
Not the
going on.
Hippocratic Oath, like literal HIPAA policy violations, like he should lose his medical license or be fined. It's literally
And
medical
then-
malpractice.
And so they come up with a strategy that they're going to endorse Phil Patterson and agree just never to tell anybody about this. Isn't that the deal? They're not gonna tell anybody about this. They're gonna make sure this doesn't get out, and they're going to somehow force Phil Patterson to go seek therapy.
Well, he is because he came to a therapist.
Right, but they don't want to therapy Phil Patterson. I think they make a point of saying, "Oh, you're not. Oh, are you gonna therapy him? Are you gonna shoot him with a therapy ray?"
Yeah.
That's how therapy
Frasier's
works, right?
Frasier says to Niles, "Will you treat him?" And then Niles says, "I'm a doctor, not a miracle worker. Are you kidding?"
Which
Like,
is a Star Trek reference.
Yep. It is. It's an old school original Star Trek reference. I'm a doctor.
They're both
I can
shitty
see- I can
doctors,
s-
and this goes back to the last episode I was on where they don't even know how to deliver a baby because they fucking passed out in medical school.
They're
Fucking
not
just getting
medical
by on white
doctors,
privilege
Lana.
and fucking money.
They're not medical doctors.
Yeah, and they're also not good therapists either.
Well, that's debatable.
It's
isn't it?
not that they're literally saying we can't help this man. It's not like a fucking...
Frasier
like,
has a radio program, Lana. Do you have a radio program?
I can fucking... it's not like it's hard.
It isn't hard.
We're literally doing a podcast right now. We could just like live stream it.
But
It's true.
no.
I can
radio's
literally
a
start a
step.
radio show right now. I can turn this into a radio show
Radio,
right
I
now.
think, is a step above.
You could. It's very conceivable.
Look, Hari's back.
Yep.
What?
I think we were worried she wasn't going to be in any more episodes, but she's back.
She's
playing
the sassy. So that scene that we all hate, you know the one, that where Frasier's deciding what kind of coffee he's gonna get. Luck Hari is the
Server. The
yeah.
barista.
She's kind of she's kind of this reoccurring sassy barista. We've seen her in a couple episodes already, and she's always very sassy when it comes to
I didn't
to
realize
interactions with her.
she was a
Frasier.
recurring character. Do they never blend her makeup down her neck, or is that an artistic choice?
I mean, I don't know why you gotta attack.
No, I'm
Lakari.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if I may. I don't know if that's necessarily attacking Lakari. I think it's attacking the makeup and cosmetology team that are working on Frasier. It is a thing, like as evidenced by like Black Panther. When you have somebody who knows how to put makeup on a non-white person, it looks good. And sometimes you don't hire one of those, and that comes
like
up
for
in
a
LA.
second
That
I
comes
thought
up in
maybe it
TV.
was brown face.
I
Her makeup's
don't know.
very bad. Is it
No,
always
she
like that? I'm
is-
genuinely asking.
That's her skin color, Lana.
No, there's foundation on top of it. You can see the line where it's not blended on her neck, Adam. As you pointed out earlier, I was raised as a girl. I noticed these things.
She was, as we mentioned just last time. I'm certain we missed to mention this. She was in Atlantis, the Lost Empire, that Disney
Yes.
movie that no one remembers.
I love that Disney movie. It's really good.
You're alone, Wes. You're alone in thinking that.
I thought it was good. It had Michael J. Fox and stuff.
That opinion is shared by no one on this earth except you.
Okay.
The
Okay.
domain
So-
bushgame.com is for sale. Like, I can't find a host of this game anywhere.
You know, if Jeb Bush runs, you could buy it, and we could program an anti-Jeb Bush game, and we could get it. We could make it happen again. Pretty much, we could release the same game, but we could replace the JPEG of George Bush's face with a JPEG of Jeb Bush's face, and it would achieve the same effect.
Well, it's not... Oh, he's also the guy that made Skrillex Quest. Okay, why doesn't he list Bush Game on his website anyway? Sorry, I found the programmer's like portfolio website, and Bush Game is not listed. I wonder
On
why.
his achievements, or
No.
We
So-
haven't discussed. I don't think we brought this up to Lana, and I doubt she did any research into this. But the man who plays Bulldog Briscoe, who we've already talked about, he's kind of a man. He's kind of a he kind of has a lot of sexist traits. He pervs on the women at work, you know.
right?
But the actor portraying him, Dan Butler, is gay.
Right. So is Niles. So is David Hyde Pierce. Yeah, no,
So
these
is Martin.
Adam, you might find this
is-
interesting. Sorry, I'm completely derailing this again, but this seems like something you would
God.
want to know.
Damn it!
The guy who made the Bush game, he also made a video game based on Perfect Strangers.
Why would I care?
I thought you liked 80s TV shows, Adam!
I mean, I only know Perfect Strangers. I haven't seen an episode of Perfect Strangers, but I know it because there's that it's that series of cartoons about the igloos that Ed Atlin I think it's Ed Allen. I don't know if you know the guy I'm talking about, right, Wes?
Ed Allen.
Ed so the one who's always doing candy slaws.
Candy what?
Candy slaws.
Candy slaws?
Candy slaws. You know?
What are you saying right now?
I'm saying
The reason I thought you played as the Foo Fighters is because he also made a Weezer game where you play as
okay.
Weezer.
Is it okay if I just drag this podcast to the end? Is it okay if I just Is it okay if I just get this on the finish line like I tried to do when you I was like, "Hey, do you want me to wrap it up?" And you were like, "No, I'll do it." And now here we are. Do you mind if I finish this? Do you mind if I wrap up this
Okay,
podcast
sorry,
episode,
yeah.
Adam?
Okay, wait, hang on. I do have a couple
No,
final
no,
thoughts
no,
on Frasier.
hold
Okay,
on.
I
No,
still think believing in
I've got the
aliens is
ball.
still
I've
more
got
safe
the-
than
I've-
QAnon.
I've got the conch. We'll get there. Yes, true. Roz makes a quick thing back and forth with Frasier where she says she had a hard time sleeping, and Frasier says dating a snore, and Roz confronts him. It's like, hey, dude, it's really shitty of you to make all these jokes that I'm a whore. We work together. Could you not do that? And Frasier's like, I'm sorry. That is inconsiderate. And she says like, yeah, Chopper Dave, another coworker that we've seen in other episodes, likes to buzz by my apartment in his helicopter. It's apparently a thing he finds fun, and it woke me up. And he's like, okay, I can see how that'd be annoying. And Roz's like, well, I didn't mind, but the guy I was with is a Vietnam vet. And he started having flashbacks. And that's a very fun, bitsy thing. We move on. Bulldog rolls in the room and is like, oh, guess what, Frasier? Your candidate's a loser because they found out about his alien thing. And Frasier's like, oh my God, what? And rushes in to start talking. And then Roz presses Bulldog on what that means. And it turns out that there is a scandal that Phil Patterson is housing illegal aliens from Guatemala in his home. Meanwhile, Frasier gets on the radio and starts defending the belief
these
in
are
aliens.
illegal aliens, not extraterrestrial aliens.
Aliens, instead of Frasier elaborates on the belief, but insists that it's not that crazy on account of
he mentions a couple people.
Ronald Reagan saw an astrologist. General Patton believed in reincarnation. J. Edgar Hoover let his slip because he would dress in women's clothing. I just want to throw onto this pile. John Quincy Adams believed in mole people and that the earth was hollow. Andrew Jackson was a terrible human being. I don't know what crazy things he believed, but he also was just a bad man that made the Trail of Tears happen. There are crazy beliefs throughout all of American history.
Yeah, I feel like the first couple dozen presidents, their crazy beliefs are that white people are superior, but...
Yeah, the whole thing. Racism for sure was what this country was founded on.
It's a real crazy belief right there.
Yeah.
The audacity.
So anyway, as Frasier is yelling about how it's not that crazy that people are aliens. Or people
believe in aliens.
Not that crazy. And then we cut to the TV where apparently it is that crazy because Holden Thorpe won with 92% of the vote. It's weird that they announced that as the last result. Usually you just announce the winner and then I think it's less news. But apparently they had a vote-by-vote update. Holden Thorpe won with 92% of the vote. Patterson got 8%. Martin makes a clever joke about they must have been counting absentee votes from the planet Krypton because he believes in aliens. It turns out, in a fun thing, that the media has overblown Phil Patterson housing Guatemalans. They're exchange students. They're not laborers, but apparently still a scandal, still a thing. I didn't think it was a Jimmy Carter thing. I thought it was like a Michael Dukakis, who is famous for, like, when he was debating George Bush 1 in George Bush 1's first election, he got asked by a debater, hey, Michael Dukakis, you don't believe in the death penalty. How would you feel if a criminal murdered and raped your wife? Would you want the death penalty for them? And Michael Dukakis was like, no, like, I fucking don't believe in the death penalty. And he also, he could have compounded on that, Jesus Christ, what the fuck did you just ask me? But people were like, what an unhuman thing, what a fucking inorganic thing to respond. He just believes in his note card answers. We're gonna vote for Bush 1. So it's just a silly thing where, for some reason, Phil Patterson was held to a standard where, like, the fact that he was offering room and board to exchange students is a scandal. Meanwhile, Holden Thorpe has apparently said crazy things about the cigarette industry, and nobody cares. He's Teflon. But Phil Patterson comes by, and there's a fun joke where
He kind of
Phil is
shrugs
like,
off.
I didn't expect to be making my concession speech before lunch, but I had some time to run errands, so that's fun.
Yeah, that was nice.
And then,
he kind of shrugs off the whole you just ended my career, Frazier.
Right. Very similar. Frasier has like made a lot of awkward situations, and usually people are pretty understanding. And Phil is among those people that are like, "Fucking happens. It's politics. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose." I don't get the vibe he was super optimistic on account of there was already a scandal about him housing Guatemalans. And he understands that, like, from Frasier's perspective, he was trying to like stand up for Phil and explain that his beliefs weren't crazy. So Phil is just like, I understand. You thought you were defending me. And he just establishes it's one election. He'll be back. And then there's an interesting point where Frasier is like, do you actually believe? I have to ask, do you really think aliens happen? And Phil is like, my life would be easier if I didn't believe these things. But it happened to me, so I have to.
I wake up every night
which makes
screaming.
it different than QAnon, a group of people that believe things because of 4chan memes and dumb lizard people memes. And they have no evidence for the things they believe, but they still do it anyway. Phil Patterson, in a different way, in his own belief, was actually taken on an alien spacecraft, which informs his environmental policy. Apparently, we didn't cover it, but the aliens took him up to explain, hey, like, global warming is real.
Right.
You guys have to do something about this.
That was his whole. That was the whole impetus of him running for Senate
senator,
Senator.
So
the
Frazier,
aliens told him to.
There's two jokes left. I'm sorry, I'm dragging this across the finish line to make sure we get there. Phil, there's one word joke and there's one visual sort of scripting joke. Frazier's like, so what's next for you, Phil? Like the last line he has, and he's like, maybe I'll run in California. This could actually help me there. And it's cheesy, and
that gets a good laugh from that gets a good laugh from the audience because this is filmed in California.
Because
so it's a California
again. As Lana, as we've mentioned, this is. I mean, Frasier is largely a show to satirize liberals. So of course we squeeze in a joke making fun of how silly California is. Of course they'd vote for somebody that believed in aliens. So Frasier walks back to his little patio area, the little awning outside that he and Phil were standing on when Phil told him about aliens. And Frasier makes a comment that anything's possible. And I before we get into the bit, I do want to say one thing that I don't know if we've complimented enough about Frasier in the past. Frasier does a pretty good job on set piece comedy, where like we set up a verbal thing and then we pay it off physically. And I say that because I feel like there's an example where and this is an incredibly difficult bit to make work, I think this is something where you're biting off a lot for your production team, and we've already established the Frasier crew sometimes lets the boom fall into the shot. Like it's a crew where you have 30 million viewers and the crew still sometimes botches things. And
I don't think it's anything.
Frasier gets to the window and he's like, he has to say anything's possible, and you need the lights to come on and you need the exact optimal comedy time before you start hearing the helicopter whirring blades to call back to the thing where Chopper Dave likes to roll by and mess with his coworkers. But instead you start hearing the chopper blade like almost immediately after you hear the lights. Also, Frasier's just kind of like standing around looking at the lights like he's moving and it's not really clear. I don't know if Kelsey Grammer didn't get enough physical direction. It especially considering the roar of laughter at the initial reveal that Phil Patterson believes in aliens. You get the vibe that this didn't hit as strongly as other stuff, when like Frasier is looking up and he's like, oh my god, he starts like moving around his table, and then he's like, oh, real funny, Dave, and then he that's the end of the episode.
I think
Well,
also, like, I don't, because I know during the commercial it was green screen, and the night sky also still looked like green screen to me, so I thought maybe it was like a thing where he was like acting in front of a green screen, and then they added the lights and stuff in post.
Maybe.
Like, they shined a spotlight on him, but I think, like, I don't know. Which, if anything, I guess that's just bad editing, too.
I kind of enjoy Frasier more if it was all shot in front of a green screen.
I could see that.
If it was like Blue's Clues, you know?
If it took place in like a cartoon world. If it were yeah. Okay.
Well, I wanted to do that rapid fire alternate Frasier episode. So I have one called Frasier gets audited.
Have we said
Frasier violates an FCC broadcasting
hold
rule.
up.
Frasier loses his medical license. That's it.
Those are the only two?
Those are the three. Oh, you missed one because you were trying to talk over me?
I was just saying, have we all said everything we needed to say about the episode?
Well, I was saying one last thing I wanted to say about the episode.
How quaint is the idea that I mean, again, not to tie another parallel to QAnon, but how quaint and how cute are the 90s for deciding like, oh, we can't vote for somebody that believes in aliens when we're in the time period we're in. That's the last thing I wanted to say.
I mean, yeah, this is definitely one of those episodes that hasn't aged super well.
It's nice to pretend there aren't consequences for Frasier's actions, I guess.
One of my favorite sitcoms, one of my favorite sitcoms that exists is a show called Bachelor Father, and it's a sitcom from the 50s, and it's in black and white, and the entire idea is this dude has his sister has a daughter, and I believe both the parents died. And so he has to raise her, and that's the premise of the show, is how outrageous is it that this single guy would be raising a girl. He also has just a live-in Asian servant, but the show isn't called Live-in Asian Slave. It's called Bachelor Father. And I want to share, again, television has a weird tendency of thinking things are shocking, and then 30 years later, they're really not. This is one of those things where Frasier, you don't think the thing, and it comes back to just to give you a taste of when we talk about Jane Leeves on the Benny Hill show.
Right.
We were talking about Benny Hill getting interviewed and how he thinks that the jokes in the show are not sexist because he's always the butt of the joke. I don't know if when you're writing comedy you always think about the longevity, or if you think, is this going to be funny 10 years from now or 20 years from now? And good comedy frequently is, but some jokes or some scenarios, especially in sitcoms, that you're like, this is outrageous. In 30 years, it's going to be completely pedestrian. And the idea that a politician would believe in aliens is so completely blasé in 2021 that it feels silly that it breaks Frasier and Niles' minds, and they can't fathom supporting this human being.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's if Phil Patterson believed in aliens and was running for senator,
right?
I mean, we could do worse than Phil Patterson.
Yeah.
You really could.
Yeah. We already have a representative that believes that school shootings are faked. Who gives a shit about aliens? If you can believe whatever you want on other planets, I care about the beliefs you have about things going on this planet.
You can believe that aliens beamed you up and probed you and did all kinds of stuff inside your butt, but if you don't believe like what's actually happening,
yeah, that's where I get concerned. That's where I draw the line. Okay, sorry. Did you guys have any other thoughts? That was my last thought on the episode.
I don't have a thought on the episode other than the puns on the episode I made, but I do want to let you guys know that I did finally find a website that did host a mirror of the anti-Bush game, but Adobe
Ooh.
Flash Player is no longer supported.
Ugh, you got to get Flashpoint. Apparently, that's a way you can still play Flash games.
Flashpoint.
I believe, from what I've heard, I saw somebody that was speed running Balloon Tower Defense, the one with the monkeys.
Yes.
And he was like, I had to set up Flashpoint. If you want to play Flash games, you can use Flashpoint. It's not as good as Flash Player, but of course that doesn't exist anymore. So, yeah. Blue Maximus. This podcast is brought to you by Blue Maximus Flashpoint. It's a web game preservation project. It's the only thing I believe in anymore is the idea of playing Flash games.
Yeah, no, that's important.
It's
important.
opening
They're
in
doing
13
they're
minutes.
doing God's work.
It's pretty big download.
So no, we wanted to talk about. So last time Lana came on, we talked about pitching our own ideas for episodes of Frasier. So we were gonna do a little bit of that. I know Wes had written a few. Lana, you already did yours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can repeat
I
them.
don't.
Frasier gets audited, Frasier violates an FCC broadcasting rule, and Frasier loses his medical license.
So all those are ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Wes, I think he's fleshed some out a bit more.
3, 4. Do you want to go while I count my ideas?
He's got to count them
11, 12,
because there are
13,
quite
14,
a few of them.
15, 16, 17. I have 17 ideas. Do you want all of them, or do you just want a couple? Do you want my favorite 3? What are you thinking?
Let's just give me your best 3.
Okay,
and
my best 3.
We'll save. You can save some. We'll probably do this again, so you can save the rest for later.
Okay.
The only one I really had was Frasier and Niles. Well, no, my idea was Frasier decides to put all of his money in a hedge fund, which goes bankrupt when people on Reddit all buy stocks in GameStop stock.
Yep.
Stock.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Episode.
And Frasier becomes homeless along with Martin and Daphne because they all live in the same house. And our B story is Niles develops.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. This sounds like the beginning of "And It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" episode. Like Frasier turns into "It's Always Sunny in Seattle."
The B story is Niles develops an infatuation with the evil vampire lady from Resident Evil Village.
I can see. Yeah. He would be the one that would be super into.
We're really dating this episode.
Yeah, no, like people are going to listen to this whenever it airs, and it probably never will. And no, it'll be a fuck ton of editing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's only the 5th week of 2021, people, and this is where we're at.
This is it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll hear that and you think, oh, what fun times! What fun times before all the locusts and the
before the God, whatever happened to the murder hornets?
Whatever.
God, kids 20 years from now are gonna like find this on YouTube and comment, God, I wish I was born in the 2020s.
Back before we used sand for money.
Back before we used sand for money.
Hey, no, we're gonna use Dogecoin for money.
That sounds right to me.
I don't know. I'm pretty thinking about investing all my money in sand.
Gotta invest in Doge, Adam.
You gotta get some
yeah, I didn't make any money off of that, did you?
Yeah, I made like $800.
Oh, well, good for you.
Yeah.
Adam, are we turning this into an investment podcast? What investment?
I guess so. I
Well, you sit over there with your goddamn Apple stock. Meanwhile, I was over here farming Dogecoin for weeks.
I mean, my Apple
you gotta
stock
farm those Dogecoins.
did go down.
I thought Apple stock went up because you guys did some sort of like weird bond sell thing.
I mean, it's split a while back. Okay, hold on. We need to finish the episode.
I thought the episode was over. I thought we finished.
No, because Wes still hasn't. Wes, you still got to give us yours.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was well, first of all, I wasn't invited to speak yet, but I did. I think these are my top 3, and I think these are my best. Okay, so be open minded. Okay,
Okay,
just before.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, what did you want to say?
I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit this together. Wes, give us your top 3 best Frasier ideas.
Just before Frazier takes Niles, Daphne, Roz, and Martin, the family, the sitcom family, gets onto a flight to go on a vacation to France. Daphne has a vision of the plane crashing. She manages to get the group off the plane just before it takes off, and it crashes, but Death's design will not be foiled as Rube Goldberg-style death traps kill the gang one by one.
This is like a house. So this is a Final Fantasy or Final Destination thing you got going on.
I've never seen that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep, the Final Fantasy game where they all get killed.
Adam, clearly the name of the episode is going to be called Frasier Destination.
Frasier Destination, of course.
That's barely a pun.
Okay,
that's
fine.
Not,
Destination Frasier, whatever. The actual titles
that's
of Frasier are barely a pun, Adam.
These are
Flower
nothing.
Child,
These things,
Flower
you're
Child.
Me nothing. You're
No
bringing
effort.
Me nothing.
No effort.
Okay.
What else, Wes?
I'm torn here. Okay, okay. I'm gonna.
We'll do more of these.
Okay, hold on. Let me ask you guys the distribution. Should I do 2 bitsy ones and 1 real one, or 2 real ones and I'm done with my bitsy one?
Two
do a real one.
2 bitsy ones.
2 more bitsy ones. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do a real one.
Okay, a real one. Okay. Martin and Daphne are left alone at the house as Frasier and Niles are off on separate. Niles is probably off on like a medical convention because and Frasier is on some sort of like speaking tour as part of the radio station. Martin and Daphne are left alone at the home. Daphne's psychic powers start to go on the fritz as she detects a powerful, violent force has come to Seattle. The Weeping Lotus Killer has returned, and Daphne and Martin must work together to hunt him down. This is like a full whodunit kind of mystery.
This is sort of like a Twin Peaks-esque.
Because Lana, I don't know if you definitely weren't. It came up in the first season that the only crime Martin left unsolved as a cop was the Weeping Lotus Killer that went around killing prostitutes in the city of Seattle. And Martin very briefly asks Daphne, like, hey, do you get any vibes off this picture? And Daphne's like, nope. But it's more interesting than most Frasier episodes is the idea of Martin and Daphne solving psychic crimes.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah, it would be. It's very. It
that would
like
be
a very
1,000 more times entertaining than the actual show. Yes.
I mean, yeah, it would be. It would be the perfect spinoff, I think.
That's what this segment should be. You guys pitching Frasier episodes ideas to me and me saying whether or not I would probably be entertained by them. Oh my god, I should have to guess which one is the real premise of a Frasier show and which one is fake.
I would be down
we could do that. We could do that. I would be great at that.
I was telling Adam the thing that I think would be fun is if we got the 3 of us and then a couple comedy writers and we tried to actually sit down and write a good Frasier episode. I think that would be fun. But we could also, whatever gamifies, whatever content, I don't know. It's all fun. It's all fun. Anyway,
did you have another one that you wanted to share?
Yeah, do you want a real one or a bitsy one?
Bitsy what?
Whichever.
Bitsy
yeah,
what?
Bitsy.
Okay. Frasier is cleaning out his storage unit after Daphne tells him Martin needs more space to walk around for his physical therapy. In Frasier's storage unit, that's where he finds the Allspark, and he has to choose what side he'll take in the ongoing war between the Autobots and the Decepticons.
Yeah.
See, I think if you're going to do a Bitsy one, you have to supplement it with a B story that's like completely like on like par for the course for an episode of Frasier. Like,
I do. I do have this.
Like all of that, and then B story. Niall plans like a dinner party.
Niles gets into shorts. Just a shorts guy. He just He just starts wearing shorts
Cargo
all the time.
shorts or like Bahama?
Yeah, no, he's got a lot of pockets on his shorts.
Nice.
I will say something that we haven't gotten into that I'm looking forward to discussing is that Niles does go through an array of outfits, memorable outfits, on this show.
Right.
And it speaks to a larger thing that we're probably going to get into about how David Hyde Pierce and Niles were kind of... Niles is basically the Urkel of this show.
Right.
Where
Did
he
I
kind of
do
becomes...
that, as he frequently says.
Right. He becomes sort of the breakout character, and a lot of the later episodes focus on Niles almost exclusively. So that's something that we've yet to really get into, but we're going to start seeing that pretty soon.
The same way there was Urkel Mania, we haven't even covered the Niles Mania that would come in the mid to late 90s.
Right. Remember how Niles had his own breakfast cereal?
Nileos, you know.
They're sufficient.
Yeah. Uncut brand, the Niles cereal.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about that. This episode overall, again, I think we've said it already, but this episode hasn't really aged all that well. Obviously, the landscape of American politics has changed quite a bit since this episode was written, and therefore, this episode is just kind of a hard watch. So it's 2 thumbs down. We're gonna start rating these with thumbs now.
We're for the first time we've decided starting.
This was just something I thought of myself.
We're gonna start rating the episode. Yeah, sure.
This was just something I thought, like thumbs, you know, like good or bad, you know. I thought of that. I just thought we'd do that.
Oh, that was your idea. Your idea was the thumb scale. I see.
Yeah.
Oh, thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
So it's gonna be thumbs down from all of us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to hopefully give a thumbs up to our next. Well, so this is kind of a first for us on the podcast. The next 2 episodes of Frasier are it's a 2-parter.
It's a 2-parter.
The first 2-parter that we've had on Frasier
with a dramatic
you won't be there.
to be continued in the middle.
That's all you guys.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be our next episode. I think we're just going to film that in one go.
Yep.
But it's called Adventures in Paradise. Frasier starts dating Madeleine Marshall, a businesswoman profiled in Seattle Magazine. As their relationship gets more serious, he proposes a weekend trip to Bora Bora. So this is Frasier getting a girlfriend, which I don't think have we seen Frasier with any women on the show yet?
I think we've seen him have we seen him date? I feel like we've seen him date.
Maybe at least attempts. Well, no, there was that woman. There was the woman in the very first season, the woman whose boyfriend called into the show, and Frasier convinced him to dump her, and then she subsequently falls in love with Frasier.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't really think of a whole lot of other people, if anyone.
That might be about it. That might be it. And he's all sad because he didn't get to have sex with her.
So yeah, we're also going to see with these next couple seasons sort of the rotating girlfriend plot point in Frasier. There's kind of that. But there are some episodes that we're going to be talking about that I'm really looking forward to, both in this season and next. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope you will stick with us until then. But yes, I think we're all finished, so go ahead and wrap up. Once again, my name is Adam Frazier. Wes Corwin, thank you for being here. Lana, thank you for being our guest.
Plug her stuff. You got to plug her stuff.
Oh yeah, Lana Stitches. I finally have an identifiable brand. We've upgraded since last episode, so I'm Lana Stitches across all social media platforms. Follow
Twitch,
me.
TikTok,
Yep.
Facebook.
I Twitch stream Mondays,
You
Tuesdays,
on-
Thursdays. That I feel like it.
Mm.
Generally by 8 p.m. ish. But I post on TikTok every day.
Are you
So
on
follow
Habbo
me on
Hotel?
TikTok. What?
Are you on Habbo Hotel?
I could do a Habbo Hotel Twitch stream. Yeah.
All right, well, that's been it, everybody.
I'm
We've
doing
got-
a RuneScape and a Toontown rewritten live stream. So
We've talked about Frasier and politics and Lana's horrendous knowledge of history, and it's been a pretty fun time. I'll catch you next time. But till then, I guess I best be moseying along.
Adam, do you have the skill to put like a dusty trail, like bum ba-dum, put at the thing at the end of the episode?
You know I
You do
do.
that. That'll.
Frasier on Frasier podcast wishes to thank KACL780.net for providing episode transcripts and Ronald O'Connell for providing our theme song, Frasier MIDI.